My beloved child, listen carefully and don't look away for even a second, because what I am about to tell you is not a story, not a rumor, but a moment that changed everything the instant my eyes saw it, and if you skip even one line, you might miss the one detail that connects directly to your own life, so stay till the end, because something huge is waiting for you. It began on an ordinary afternoon, the kind of day that feels forgettable, until I noticed a woman standing inside a quiet store, her face half covered by shadows, her hands resting on something that should never be chosen casually, and the moment our eyes almost met, a strange chill ran through me, because she wasn't shopping like someone preparing for a ceremony, she was acting like someone following a plan already written, already timed, and already aimed at someone very close to you. So don't skip, because this is where everything starts to connect. What shook me wasn't just what she was buying, but how confidently she spoke, how she asked questions that only someone with deep certainty would ask, as if tonight was already decided in her mind, and when the seller mentioned a name I had heard before in whispers connected to your family, my heart began to race, because coincidences don't repeat this cleanly, and if you're still here, stay till the end, because the reason she chose that name will leave you stunned. Then came the part one can't forget, the moment she made a call, lowered her voice, and said words that sounded calm but carried an intention so heavy that the air around her felt different, and though nothing graphic was said, the meaning was clear enough to make my hands tremble, because this wasn't about loss, it was about control, about taking something precious and deciding its future without permission. So don't skip, because the next truth is something no one expects. As I followed the trail carefully, not too close and not too far, I discovered something even more shocking. This woman wasn't a stranger, she had crossed paths with your family before, silently, years ago, during a moment everyone else forgot, and that forgotten moment is the key to why your son is connected to her decision tonight. So stay till the end, because this revelation is once in a lifetime and changes how you see your past. Right here, pause for a second, and if you're feeling that tension building, share this with someone you trust and let me know in the comments that you're still with me, because what comes next is where the truth sharpens, and subscribing now ensures you don't miss the continuation of this unfolding reality that most people will never see coming, and don't skip, because the next line flips the entire meaning of that purchase. What I uncovered next was a document, a quiet agreement hidden behind polite smiles, something signed long ago that gave her the confidence she carries today, and once you understand what that paper represents, you'll realize the coffin was never about an ending, it was a message, a warning shaped like certainty, meant to shake you into silence, but stay till the end, because the final connection has not yet been revealed. And now, as everything circles back to tonight, understand this carefully, nothing is random, nothing is accidental, and what she plans is only possible if you remain unaware, but awareness changes outcomes, and that is why you are hearing this now, so don't skip, don't look away, because in the next part, I will reveal who truly sent her, and why your response in the coming hours matters more than you can imagine. Listen to this without blinking, because what I uncovered next reshaped everything I thought I knew, and if you even think about skipping, you'll miss the single clue that turns fear into understanding, so stay till the end, because something huge is waiting for you. The first thing that struck me was a pattern, subtle but deliberate, connecting moments that seemed unrelated at first, like small footprints leading to a larger truth, and as I traced those moments backward, I realized this woman had been watching, not constantly, not obviously, but at precise intervals that matched key events in your family's timeline, and once you see this pattern, you'll understand why tonight holds so much weight. So don't skip. What made my chest tighten was discovering that every move she made was triggered by information that should never have reached her, and that means someone closer than you think has been speaking when they should have stayed silent. And if you're still here, stay till the end, because the identity of that silent voice is not what you expect. At this point, pause and breathe, and if this story is pulling you in, share it with someone who needs to hear it, drop a comment to let me know you're following every word, and subscribe now, because the next layer of this story won't reach everyone, and you don't want to miss what's coming next, so don't skip. As I dug deeper, I found records of meetings that never made headlines, quiet conversations held in plain sight, where smiles hid intentions and polite gestures concealed pressure, and the woman appeared again and again in the background, never central, never obvious, but always present when decisions were made. So stay till the end, because this is where her role becomes clearer. What shocked me most was learning that her confidence doesn't come from power, but from assurance that a specific moment would arrive, and that moment is connected to a promise made long ago, a promise your family doesn't even remember making, and once you hear how that promise was formed, everything changes, so don't skip. Right now, understand this carefully, fear is not the goal here, awareness is, because when plans rely on secrecy, exposure becomes the strongest shield, and the reason this information is reaching you now is because timing matters more than ever, so stay till the end, because the next reveal redraws the entire picture. And as this part closes, remember this one thing: the woman's purchase was never the action itself, it was a signal, a marker placed to confirm that the final phase had begun, and in the next part, I will expose what that signal activates, and why your next decision carries more influence than you've ever realized. Look straight at this moment, because what I'm about to reveal doesn't arrive loudly, it arrives quietly, slipping into your thoughts and refusing to leave, and if you don't skip now, you'll notice how every detail starts aligning in a way that feels impossible to ignore, so stay till the end, because something huge is waiting for you. What I learned next came from a place no one ever checks, a forgotten corner of records and memories where intentions age but never disappear, and there it was, a reference to your son's future spoken years ago as if it were a fixed point in time, not a possibility but an expectation, and that realization alone should tell you this situation was never sudden, so don't skip. The woman's role becomes clearer here, not as the origin, but as the executor of a plan that required patience more than force, observation more than action, and once you understand that, you'll see why her calm demeanor mattered more than anything she purchased, because calm only comes when someone believes the outcome is already secured, so stay till the end. There is an emotional weight tied to this that no document can show, because at the center of it all is your son, unaware, living normally, while threads around him slowly tighten through choices made by others, choices wrapped in justifications and excuses that sounded reasonable at the time, and if you're feeling unsettled, that's because you're finally seeing the hidden layer, so don't skip. What changed everything for me was realizing that the plan depends on one assumption, that you will react too late, that confusion will delay you, and that silence will protect those involved, but awareness breaks that assumption completely, and that's why this message exists, so stay till the end, because this shift is critical. As I followed the timeline forward instead of backward, I noticed signs placed deliberately for you to notice, subtle prompts meant to test whether you were paying attention, and the coffin was the loudest of those signs, not an end symbol, but a provocation, a way to measure your response, so don't skip, because this detail changes everything. Understand this now, nothing progresses unless permission is implied, and permission often comes from inaction, from disbelief, from thinking, this can't be real, but the moment you recognize the pattern, you step out of the role they assigned you, and that alone disrupts the sequence, so stay till the end. As this part closes, remember this clearly, the story is no longer moving without you, because from this point onward, your awareness becomes a variable they didn't plan for, and in the next part, I will reveal why that single variable is the one thing they cannot control. Before you even settle your thoughts, let this sink in slowly, because what unfolds here isn't about what they did, it's about why they believed you would never notice, and if you don't skip now, you'll feel the shift where the entire story begins to lean in your direction, so stay till the end, because something huge is waiting for you. The truth is, every long plan reaches a fragile stage, a moment where one unexpected awareness can shake its foundation, and this is that moment, because the woman's certainty was built on silence, not resistance, and the instant silence turns into attention, the balance changes, and that is exactly why tonight feels heavier than all the days before it, so don't skip. What most people never realize is that influence doesn't always come from authority, sometimes it comes from access, from being present at the right time, in the right place, when decisions feel harmless, and this woman earned that access slowly, invisibly, until her presence felt normal, and once something feels normal, no one questions it, so stay till the end, because this realization explains everything. Right here, pause for just a moment, and if this story has locked your focus, share it with someone who values awareness, leave a comment to mark that you're still following, and subscribe now so you don't lose the thread, because what comes next will only make sense if you remember this exact point, and don't skip. As I pieced together the final connections, I noticed how carefully emotions were managed around you, reassurance where doubt might rise, distractions where curiosity could grow, all designed to keep you comfortable, because comfort delays action, and delay was the only thing this plan needed to survive, so stay till the end, because that strategy is now exposed. There's a quiet irony here, something they never accounted for, the fact that once you see the pattern, you can't unsee it, and every small interaction begins to feel different, more intentional, more loaded, and that awareness alone removes their advantage, so don't skip, because this is where control subtly changes hands. Understand this clearly now, the purchase you heard about wasn't meant to complete anything, it was meant to confirm obedience, to signal that the environment was still passive, still predictable, but the moment you questioned it, that signal lost its meaning, and that single disruption carries more power than any formal authority, so stay till the end. As this chapter closes, hold on to this thought, plans built on assumption collapse when confronted by clarity, and what they assumed about you is no longer true, because in the next continuation, I will reveal the final safeguard they put in place, and why even that safeguard is weaker than they believe. Pay close attention now, because this phase of the story is where intentions stop hiding behind complexity and begin revealing themselves through small, undeniable shifts, and if you don't skip, you'll notice how every earlier detail suddenly finds its place, so stay till the end, because something huge is waiting for you. What surfaced next was a safeguard they trusted too much, a quiet mechanism designed to keep everything moving smoothly even if doubts appeared, and that safeguard relied on one belief alone, that you would trust familiar patterns more than your instincts, and once you understand how that belief was formed, you'll see why it was their greatest weakness, so don't skip. The woman's confidence now makes sense, because she believed this safeguard would hold indefinitely, that routines would continue, conversations would stay surface level, and questions would never be asked directly, but the moment awareness enters a system like that, predictability fades, and when predictability fades, control loosens, so stay till the end. There is an emotional truth here that's easy to miss, the fact that your concern, your attention, and your presence were never expected to align at this exact moment, and that alignment alone changes outcomes, because it shortens the distance between cause and response, and if you're feeling the tension rise, it's because this alignment is happening now, so don't skip. As I examined how this safeguard worked, I realized it wasn't strong because it was smart, it was strong because it was never challenged, and systems like that crumble not with force, but with clarity, with simple questions asked at the right time, and that is why this part matters more than any before it, so stay till the end. Every sign placed earlier now feels different, less like coincidence and more like testing points, moments designed to see whether you would notice or ignore, and the fact that you are still here proves the test didn't go as planned, because noticing is the first step toward breaking any silent expectation, so don't skip. Understand this carefully, the story is no longer about what they arranged, it's about what you recognize, because recognition shifts roles, it turns observers into participants, and participants influence direction, and that influence is something no long-term plan can fully contain, so stay till the end. As this part comes to a close, remember this one thing clearly, the final outcome was never fixed, it only appeared that way to those who relied on routine, and in the next part, I will reveal how a single conversation can now change everything they work to maintain. Hold this moment gently but firmly, because this is where the story stops circling and starts moving forward, and if you don't skip now, you'll feel the tension transform into clarity, so stay till the end, because something huge is waiting for you. The conversation I mentioned isn't loud or dramatic, it's quiet, intentional, and timed perfectly, because timing is what separates reaction from influence, and when words are spoken at the right moment, they don't just inform, they redirect outcomes, and that is why this phase matters more than anything that came before it, so don't skip. What becomes clear here is that the plan depended on distance, emotional distance, mental distance, and most of all, informational distance, but distance collapses the moment understanding arrives, and understanding is exactly what's forming now, piece by piece, inside your awareness, so stay till the end. There's a subtle emotional shift that happens when you realize you're no longer being led by events, but by insight, because insight doesn't rush, it observes, and observation changes how others behave, even when they don't realize it yet, and that change has already begun, so don't skip. The woman's actions lose their mystery here, because once the structure behind them is visible, they stop feeling inevitable and start feeling conditional, dependent on responses that can now be altered, and that realization alone dissolves much of the weight this situation once carried, so stay till the end. What matters most is not confrontation, but presence, being mentally present where assumptions once ruled, because presence forces recalibration, it makes every step slower, more cautious, and that hesitation is where outcomes quietly shift, so don't skip. As this understanding settles, notice how fear gives way to focus, and focus sharpens perception, allowing you to see choices where only paths seemed to exist before, and that is the moment control subtly rebalances, without noise, without conflict, just through awareness, so stay till the end. As this part concludes, remember this clearly, once clarity enters a system built on assumption, nothing proceeds the same way again, and in the next continuation, I will show how this clarity reaches the people who never expected to be seen. Stay with this moment, because this is where the story quietly widens, reaching beyond a single figure and revealing the network that believed it would remain invisible forever. And if you don't skip now, you'll notice how the tension shifts from uncertainty to recognition. So stay till the end, because something huge is waiting for you. What unfolds here is subtle but powerful, the realization that plans rarely exist in isolation. They echo through conversations, through shared assumptions, through people who repeat ideas without questioning their origin, and once clarity touches one point, it begins traveling outward, touching others who suddenly sense that something has changed. So don't skip. The people connected to this never expected awareness to move this way, calmly, without confrontation, because they relied on confusion more than secrecy, and confusion dissolves the instant patterns become visible, making even the most confident arrangements feel unstable. So stay till the end. There's an emotional undertone here that's impossible to ignore. The quiet shift in how familiar interactions feel slightly different, how pauses grow longer, how words are chosen more carefully, because when people realize they may be understood, they begin to reassess their certainty, and that reassessment is already happening, so don't skip. What matters now is that recognition has reached those who assumed distance would protect them, and distance loses its power when understanding replaces speculation, because understanding doesn't accuse, it observes, and observation changes behavior without a single demand being made. So stay till the end. Every earlier sign now feels like part of a larger signal, not meant to end anything, but to test how far awareness could spread before resistance appeared, and the answer surprised them. Because awareness didn't stop where they expected it to, it continued quietly, steadily, so don't skip. At this stage, the woman's role fades into context rather than focus, because the story was never about one person, it was about belief systems that go unchallenged for too long, and once challenged, even gently, they begin to weaken on their own, so stay till the end. As this part draws to a close, hold on to this truth: when clarity reaches places that relied on being overlooked, outcomes begin shifting without announcement, and in the next and final continuation, I will reveal why this shift ensures that tonight no longer belongs to the plan they trusted. Take this in slowly, because this is the point where everything that once felt heavy begins to lose its grip, and if you don't skip now, you'll sense how certainty replaces doubt. So stay till the end, because something huge is waiting for you. What becomes undeniable here is that the timeline they trusted has quietly broken, not with noise, not with resistance, but with awareness arriving earlier than expected. And when timing shifts even slightly, long-built expectations unravel faster than anyone prepares for, so don't skip. The night they counted on no longer feels fixed, because fixed moments only exist when everyone agrees to look away, and now too many eyes are open, too many connections have been made, and that changes the atmosphere completely, making confidence turn into hesitation. So stay till the end. There's a calm that enters at this stage, not the calm of ignorance, but the calm of understanding, where emotions no longer spiral because the shape of the situation is finally visible, and once something has a shape, it can be navigated, redirected, and softened, so don't skip. What once felt like a single threatening symbol now dissolves into context, revealing that meaning only exists when people give it power, and power fades the moment clarity spreads, because clarity doesn't fight, it simply stands present, and presence alters outcomes naturally, so stay till the end. You may notice how the story no longer pulls you forward with fear, but with focus, because focus is what replaces uncertainty when answers align, and alignment is exactly what has happened through each piece coming together at the right time, so don't skip. At this point, the plan they trusted has already lost its momentum, not because it was stopped, but because it no longer makes sense in an environment where awareness exists, and plans that don't make sense cannot move forward the way they were designed to, so stay till the end. As this final segment settles, remember this clearly: tonight is no longer defined by what someone intended in silence, it is defined by what you now understand, and that understanding ensures the story ends not in shock, but in regained balance and control.